Hey, 8 weekers. Welcome to week 6, I think we're on. That sounds right. Right, guys? I wanted to today actually just keep it really general. There's not going to be like a specific subject on this video because there's been so many questions and so many concerns that really overlap with each other that I made a list of the common ones and I thought I would just address them the best way that I can. A lot of the stuff you guys are asking, I have no idea. Like, there's so much science and things like that that go into it. I'm following an 8 week step-by-step plan for Beachbody. Everything else I've told you is either stuff I've learned or stuff that I've Googled for you. Um, I don't really have more resources than you do. These are just my personal suggestions. Um, totally not, a doctor or a nutritionist or a trainer. Don't know how a lot of this stuff works. So the first one, I just did them in order of what I wrote down. So they're in no particular order whatsoever. And I wanted to address these now because we're going into what I personally think is the hardest week of the entire challenge. So I wanted to just make sure we could put some of these at ease and maybe get you guys moving in the right direction. So a couple people mentioned eating things out of obligation. It's somebody's birthday or somebody made it for you or you're at someone's house and they cooked for you. And these other reasons why you might have to eat. Um, honestly, I think that's a load of crap. I I mean, knock it off would be all that I had to say to that. There's there's no meaning attached to someone eating cake on their birthday. Like that's something that humans like we made that up. All these food related traditions, they're made up and you can just make up new ones. Like and your new ones don't have food in them. It's fine. If you're at someone's house, there are plenty of ways to get out of eating the food. Oh, I already ate. I'm allergic. I have to eat gluten free. My doctor. I'm in a weight loss challenge. I mean, man up, suck up, handle it. There's like, what would possibly possess you to put that person's feelings that might be maybe 1% chance they might be offended for all of 10 minutes. You're going to not wear the bikini that you want to wear, not play with your kids, not have the intimate relationship with your husband that you want, not go hiking, not fit into one airplane seat. Like, really? Just knock it off. I mean, I don't have anything else to say on that. There is no such thing as eating out of obligation. Grow up. Um, that's that's you have to let that go. You have to. You cannot pass that on to your children. So don't say things like, "I did all this work to eat it, and you aren't eating it," and things like that. Don't do that. Don't put that guilt on them. That's gonna make they're gonna have this issue 20 years from now. Um, it's just food. It's fuel. There's no actual emotion attached to it. The more you place it yourself, um, the more you're sort of saying that yes, there is some emotion attached to it, and there's not. That's made up. I'm not saying that I don't struggle with it. I'm just saying facts are facts. Sticking to the plan. So I sort of treat meal planning the same way that I teach these things. So sometimes I accidentally say teach because these are like classes that I teach, but the same way that I treat time management. You should have a calendar. You should know where you're supposed to be. Things on your calendar should be, your appointments, your job, when to eat, when to work out, activities that you might have, um, when you're meal planning, when you're grocery shopping, and things like that. But let's say you have this beautifully laid out calendar and so fantastic and all that, and you could get sick. Or, your dog runs in and pukes on the carpet. Like, life happens, and it's always going to happen. And then, you know what? You missed that one thing, or you didn't make it to that appointment, or you're late to that baby shower, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that the whole rest of the week you didn't get a ton more done and you weren't less stressed. Like you were. You would get a ton more done and you'd be way less stressed because you have this calendar of where you're supposed to be. Don't have to think about it. Everything's on there. Meal plans are the same way. Same way. I have a plan. Here's what I think is going to happen. I try to put on a meal plan like, oh, I'm going out that night, or you know, you might be up late this night or whatever, little things to just to myself to make mental notes. But when I look at a plan, it's like that's the goal. It's the goal plan. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I forget to defrost the meat, and I'm like, oh well, the chicken's defrosted, so that's what we're cooking. That's what I'm working with. Sometimes my calls go long, and I'm supposed to eat at 5, and my only window was from 5 to 5:30, and now I've got 3 hours worth of calls, and so I'm eating at 9. So maybe I was going to make zucchini noodles and going to do all these intricate things, and now I have no interest in doing that because it's 9 o'clock at night. So guess what we're having? We're having frozen vegetables, sautéed, and then the fish, like the one I made the video for. So because I know it's fast and I can quickly go here, while it's in there, I can go shower, whatever I need to do. But even if I have these small issues where, oh my god, I end up having Shakeology for breakfast instead of my quiche because I left the house and I forgot I had a dentist appointment this morning, and I probably shouldn't drink Shakeology on the way to the dentist, but you got my point. And I looked at my watch and I was late, and it was like, oh well, I don't have time to heat that up and then eat it. I have to grab a shake, whatever. Even if you stick to that plan 80% of the time, just having the plan is going to mean that 80% of the time you're sticking to it. Like, that's awesome. And I guarantee you, that's more than you were doing. Guaranteed. It also is going to help you shop, which again saves money on healthy eating. And people say healthy eating is expensive. I personally disagree. I find it to be much cheaper than my previous lifestyle. And now that I know how to do it right, I save a lot of money because I don't waste things. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll look around and I'll go, oh, you know what? We screwed up the meal plan on Tuesday, which means this is about to go bad. Well, now we're having this. Like, I made some crazy dinner last night that had like 3 of the things do not go together whatsoever. That was just like whatever was left in the fridge. And because that's where we were at. Because I knew we had a dinner tonight, and we have a birthday party and a dinner tomorrow, a birthday party and a dinner on Sunday, and like there's no point for me to make much food right now when we're about to go eat out for 3 days, which is, not normal for me, but it happens. And so I was like, well, we're just gonna eat whatever's here. And that was not on the meal plan. The meal plan literally said leftovers. I didn't know what it was gonna be. So having the plan is key to saving money, to feeling calm about your food, to not so you don't end up binging, so you don't end up in a drive-through. But you're not going to stick to it all the time. It's not going to happen. I would say that at some point you will get to just planning certain meals. Like, I made you guys a whole sheet of my meal plan, but really the first 4 items on that meal plan never change. They're always the same. So dinners are the only ones that I plan. And then the dinners, if I screw that up, whatever, it gets moved around. But that's just out of habit. That's time. That's me knowing the grocery store. That just takes time. So I wouldn't freak out that you're having trouble sticking to the plan. I would focus more on the fact of celebrating that you made it and how much did you stick to it. Because as long as we just increase a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, that you're sticking to it, that's perfect. That's perfect. So sweets. Okay. This is a big one. So I personally have the craziest sweet tooth. You guys don't even know. Like, my best friend for my birthday cake 2 years ago, she made me a sheet cake of funfetti cake. She put frosting on it. She then got donuts, put donuts on the cake, and put sprinkles on the whole thing. This is the type of sweet tooth that I have. Like, it's insane. I could live off donuts, with no problem. I would be like, what, is this not good nutrition? So I feel you. And it's still a struggle for me. There was 2 weeks ago, I was in my bed, not able to sleep because I wanted to drive to the store to buy cake. I didn't. Mostly because they were closed, to be fair. I don't know if I would have. Hopefully I would not have. But you guys understand. I mean, I get it. What I find is that, you guys know I drink Shakeology. Greenberry is personally my favorite flavor. But if it's that time of the month or, right, any time before, or I'm having that, I will try to drink the chocolate Shakeology first before I give in to something. And that almost always works. If you put it with a banana and some almond milk, it's kind of awesome. People always ask me what's a good substitute. I don't know, because the only other chocolate like protein shake type things I'd ever had were artificially flavored, and those make you crave more sugar. So that never worked for me, and I've never tried anything else. So I know that you guys, are like, really, should talk about Shakeology again, but I mean, I'm just telling you these are my answers to your questions. As far as some things that I do that help me work with those, there's a bulk candy section at Sprouts where you can literally go buy 5 chocolate covered almonds, like just 5, and like, you kind of feel like an idiot. You're like, here's my 35 cents or whatever, but instead of going to buy a package of something, I do that. There are different ways to make cakes, like using bananas or applesauce or natural diet soda. I'm gonna regret putting that on the video. Where like it's just cake mix and that, like, there's no eggs, there's no oil, there's no fat. I mean, it's not a recommendation, but there are ways that you can make this work. I promise. Yeah. There's also a store called Holy Donuts. Now, if you're in New York, you're lucky. If you're on the West Coast with me, then you're going to pay like $40 in shipping. It's not worth it. But where they bake the donuts instead of fry them? Is that how donuts are made? I think they're fried. They're very good. Cinnamon rolls are better in my opinion. So I would say, one, try to get away from it by drinking Shakeology, by drinking, like, pounding 4 glasses of water when you're having the craving. It's just seeing if it goes away. Try to wait it out for that day, because it's a real craving will, like, right, like, for days and days and days. So try to do that. If that's still not working for you, by some, this is not going to happen, then try to find something little, or try to find a substitute. Just try not to go, artificial. Is a good recommendation. Like, that's why I do like the chocolate covered almonds, because you can get dark chocolate covered almonds and they're like not that bad, like relative, right, to the kind of chemicals it could be putting in your body. So that would be one of my recommendations. Someone asked me, would it be better to make a pan of like paleo brownies or a couple of squares of dark chocolate? In my opinion, eating a couple of squares of chocolate makes a lot more sense than making a pan of brownies that's now going to sit in your house. So, like, handle it and move on. Just don't put yourself in a situation where you have the ability to make it work. So, like, if I was going to drive to Albertsons, which is the closest grocery store to my house, in the middle of the night to buy cake, I'm not going to buy a sheet cake or a set of cupcakes, right? I'm going to buy one of those, like, little, you guys know what I'm talking about, slices of cake or whatever, and just, like, let it go and move on. But you have to be able to be okay with that. If you're going to do that, if you're going to go that route, you have to mentally be able to handle that. As, like, you cannot have a meltdown. This cannot be a binge. This can't be, like, the thing you don't forgive yourself for. That's not okay. It's not okay. Like, it has to be something where you're like, no, I'm making this decision consciously. I'm going to count the calories. I want to have this. So if you're going that route, be careful. Make sure you're mentally ready for it. Finding time to cook. I should be crossing this off, otherwise I'm not going to know where I am. Finding time to cook. I mean, you guys know me. I try to do it all at once. And in the last couple of videos, have talked about how when I first started, it took me 12 hours. Now it takes me 3, right? Because you get into a routine. You're going to have to make some sacrifices being new at this, and you're going to have to pretty much give up an entire day for a while of grocery shopping, food prep, making your food in advance, etc., so that you don't have to do it throughout the week. Like I told you guys, I make almost all of our food in advance, and when I don't make in advance, I prep in advance. So I cut the vegetables, I make the zucchini noodles, you guys see, I cut and freeze my onions. I do things so that when I go to make dinner, it takes 10 minutes. So when your kids are at your feet, and that's not an issue that I have, but that was the comment. When your kids are at your feet, it's not like, oh, I need 40 minutes, kids. It's like, no, I need 10. I can make dinner faster than I can get to a fast food restaurant. And I live in Lemon Grove. I could walk to a Taco Bell from my house. And I can make dinner faster than I can drive there and order and wait in line and get home, right? So if you prep properly, time is not an issue. I put everything in Tupperware, like, in advance. And I know we're all going to die of cancer about that, but whatever. We're all gonna probably die of cancer from something anyway, so I'm gonna be, healthy while I'm here. Um, I put like when I make the turkey chili for Snow, it goes directly into Tupperware containers. It goes into the fridge so that when he's packing his lunch, it's just there's nothing going on. And then I go down and cook the dinner, and everything's all set out. So I'm like, oh, I just need these onions, and I need the chicken's defrosted, and oh, here it's my whatever. They're all in bags and things like that. So prep in advance. I feel like I know what busy looks like. When I started this business, I did have a full-time marketing job where I worked between 50 and 70 hours a week. I was doing my own weight loss and I was working out a lot. I did P90X at that time, and that's an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half every single day, 7 days a week. I, tried to sleep too, and I was running a second business. I was running a Beachbody business, which took up another 30 hours a week or so. So I am at a point now where I do have the luxury of having a little bit more flexibility. I still work very hard. I still work far more hours than I should. But it's not like that. But I do have the experience of having to do that, and I can tell you that I don't have any time is an excuse. Yes, you do. You don't have your priorities straight. That's what's going on. So let's say you have your kids in 8 after school activities. Maybe have them in 7. Like, it seems so very cut and dry to me. Like, they don't need to do everything. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to be everything to everybody. Maybe there's some stuff you need to start saying no to. Stop putting everyone else's needs in front of yours. When your friend calls because they just want to bitch about whatever they want to bitch about, and they want to go to happy hour with you, the answer is no. It's not a priority for you. They can talk to you on the phone while you're making your healthy dinner at home. It's fine. So there might just be some stuff that you need to rearrange, and you might need to just evaluate where your priorities lie. I know for me, when I started P90X, I gave up television. When I started the Beachbody business, I gave up listening to the radio in the car so I could do my work audio disc. And then Sunday used to be Sunday Fun Day in my world. I was, I was a party girl, but I don't think that's really changed that much. And I Sunday was for champagne brunch and seeing your friends and hanging out and doing nothing. And, maybe I might do some laundry before I go out, but it doesn't align with my priorities. I used to do chores on Saturday and stuff like that. And I move my things around so that it works. I still get everything done. It's just that there's things I don't do. I don't go out as much. It's very different. So make sure your priorities are in line. If you guys want to go on my blog, there's an assignment called How to Establish Your Life Priorities. That's very, very helpful to have all my coaches do. And it will help you sort of hone in on what's actually important to you. And once you know what's important to you, you know what's not important to you. And it makes it a hell of a lot easier to say no to people that are asking you to help them with this, or can you fill in for me for that, or all the different things, because we just love to be needed. It's just our huge downfall. But it doesn't serve you to be serving others all the time. So, you just have to work it out. It's just my thoughts on that. You just have to work it out. Someone asked about Mexican food. I love Mexican food. It is my favorite food. I'm convinced it's because my mom lived in Southern California when she was pregnant with me. I'm from Seattle, but she lived down here, and that my dad is Mexican, so I'm convinced that it's like in my blood or something. But yeah, I love it. Eat fajitas. You'll be fine. When they bring the chips and salsa to the table, just say no thank you. They just take it away. They look at you a little weird, but they just take it away. I don't even let them put it down. No thank you. Then just go back to the conversation. Just, you have to make those decisions. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And this, I want you to take this scenario and apply it to anything. If it's Italian food, oh, no thank you when they bring the bread. No thank you. And then the decision is made. It's not sitting there looking at you. And you're like, are you kidding me? So, just from the beginning. On a budget, I've told you guys all the money saving tips that I have as far as read the ads, buy what's on sale, buy in bulk, freeze in advance. I'm not sure what else I can do there. I've given you like everything I have as far as how to save money on groceries. Um, Luckily, I'm in a position with Beachbody at this point that I don't have to worry about it. So I know what I used to do, and those were the things I used to do, which was, compare the ads, do little coupon stuff, go to more than one store if I had to, buy things in bulk, freeze them. But I'm a little disconnected from that one because it's not an issue for me anymore. Um, Obviously, I don't like to waste money. My biggest thing is just not throwing food away because to me that's the biggest waste of money possible, which is why I mean plan. I mean, other than that, you guys, I got nothing, but I'm sure Google can help you with that. Um, for all this. Okay. Food. So bread. Bread's an issue for everyone, apparently. What I would recommend is just start making things without. Make your bread related items without bread and see how that goes. One of my favorite snacks used to be when I used to work outside the home was deli rolls. And I basically would take a piece of butter lettuce, a piece of meat, some cheese, and like a slice of avocado, roll it up, and put a toothpick in it. Awesome. Make like 4 or 5 of those, like having a sandwich, and they're awesome. They're really good. You can throw a tomato in there, whatever. So I would say look at your bread related food that you're missing and go, what can I do here? What can I make that is like this? If you guys have been on Pinterest, you just search Pinterest for, lunches with no bread. I mean, I've got a ton of pins on my board. I bet I could even, I'm sure I can post that for you. Um, Pins on my board that are just non-bread related lunches. There's like I think one that has like 50 plus. Um, I I I don't I haven't bought bread. I mean in the last 2 maybe 3 years I purchased a loaf of bread. I bought it for the Ultimate Reset. We had 2 pieces out of it. It's still in my freezer. Like I don't even realize bread exists anymore. So I mean, there's just so many ways to eat without it, and I eat all the time. Like I don't have a problem um, with not being able to find things to eat. So I mean, I use a lot of butter lettuce. It's a nice strong lettuce, but it's still very flexible, and that's a great one. Um, there's a lot of ways. So I would say just get creative with what you like and look at it and go, well, I really like wraps. Okay, well, what can I do with these ingredients that is similar? Would be my recommendation. And then finally, I'll finish up with this one because the big one is everyone's ratios. So here's the situation. I actually put you guys on what I would call just below fat shredder. So there are different meal plans in the different Beachbody workouts. And P90X has something called fat shredder, where you eat 50% protein, 30% carbs, 20% fat. And we went 40-40-20, just to be a little bit easier on you guys. These are ratios that are focused on fat loss. That is the goal. It's fat, not weight specifically, fat. Rule of fat, builder of muscle. Rule of fat, builder of muscle. And the reason why I do this is because most people show up to this group malnourished. You've not been fueling your body properly. You've got starving muscles and too much fat. It's like standard issue. And it's just because of the way that you were eating before and you don't know this information. So um, that's why I go the direction that I go. Ideally, if I thought you guys wouldn't lose your mind and stab each other, I would put you on 50-30-20. But you get cranky on that one. And it's a group of 100 girls. I'm not really trying to make you all pissed off because I do not want to put up with that kind of drama. But so we went something pretty close. And so understand that what we're trying to do is we're trying to do some repairing and we're trying to do some fat loss. You've got malnourished muscles that have been trying to grow and trying to build themselves, and you've been feeding your body with them for years, they need to grow. So as they finally get the protein that they need to grow, you're going to put on weight on the scale. What happens? Because muscle is dense, right? But we want that. You need that. It burns more fat. Goal, right? And then we don't want to be giving you tons and tons of carbs. We want to be using the fat. So that's the goal. Now, if you absolutely are just losing your freaking mind about this, you can go to the standard ratios that MyFitnessPal has for you. If I remember correctly, 30, 40, 20, it might be 30, 40, 20, where the protein is actually a little bit lower. You can do that. I don't mind. I mean, if this is really just like absolutely just killing you and it's discouraging or making you feel bad or whatever, just understand the difference of what we're trying to do. That's more of a maintenance. I'm just focusing on calories sort of thing. If you go that direction and your carbs are your highest point in everything, you have to work out. Now, this group doesn't require a workout, which is why I don't put people on that ratio. So I'm trying to make the repairs and burn the fat without the fitness component. If you're going to eat that many carbs, you have to work out. You do not have a choice because your body is turning them right into fat. So you have to get rid of them. You have to. I would recommend those carbs get eaten early in the morning, right after a workout, so that you are using them for something instead of just turning them into fat. Um, Definitely should not be in your dinners and all of that. So people are looking for like the per meal ratios. The per meal ratios are never going to be exact. It's a nice sort of thing. You can kind of look at your plate and see, okay, well, what am I shooting for here? But the per meal ratios don't need to be exact because you want your day front loaded with your carbs and your proteins and your fats, right? And you want to be ending your night with like the leanest proteins that you have. So it's okay if like per meal they don't necessarily match up, as long as at the end of the day they do match up. You do want balanced meals. So when you look at your plate, it needs to be, look, I'm representing, my proteins and my carbohydrates and my fats. This is all happening here. If they're a little off, it's okay, as long as at the end of the day you got everything in that you needed to get in. Um, the rates that you guys are at, if you are hitting the ratios that we have been shooting for, you shouldn't be having any additional issues as far as like um, some we were talking a little about acne and stuff like that, like the pH balance and stuff. You'd have to be on that fat shredder diet that I was talking about, where it's 50% protein, so kind of be in that area. So I would say you guys are fine. Um, Ratios of what you're eating are really, really important. Calories are not just calories. So if you need to adjust your ratio, something that's more realistic for you, or you do think you have the physical capacity, like you are working out enough to move your carbs over, go ahead. That's fine. What I recommend is the same thing I've recommended through every single thing we've done in this whole group is pay attention to how your body reacts. For me, if I eat something that has high carbs or high sugar, um, I immediately feel the crash. I can feel it. I get a little shaky immediately, and then I'm exhausted. Because I paid that much attention to my food. So just please be observant with yourself. My recommendation with that. So hopefully that helps clear up some stuff. I know there were a lot more questions. Those were the ones that were repeated quite a few times, and I thought I would cover them for you guys. So I'm going to jump into the group. I am going to tell you guys that there might be a bit of delay on what you need to post this week, but I'll read you the challenge. So this, in my opinion, this is the big one. This is the big one. And actually, the next 2 weeks are sort of phase out of so much work, phase out of so much attention, phase into what are you going to do when the group is over? That kind of stuff is where we go with the next 2 weeks. Make sure you've got the skills, make sure you're going to be okay. We're going to practice doing things on your own without so many rules, things like that. This week is sort of the pinnacle, if you will. The challenge this week is if man makes it, don't eat it, which means nothing processed, nothing in a package, nothing processed whatsoever. That is going to eliminate a lot of things for you that you've been getting protein from, I imagine, which is going to really give everyone a heart attack. But I'm going to read you the challenge so you know what's going on. Okay, so week 6. If man makes it, don't eat it. This is likely to be the hardest week of your diet. You want to eat only the whole foods and eliminate all processed foods, even the good ones, for this week. This includes breads, salads, dressings, cereals, lunch meats, cheese, dried fruits, anything with preservatives, alcoholic beverages, anything like that. What you can eat are whole foods such as raw or steamed vegetables, meat, natural whole grain rice, um, poached eggs, etc. Since your eating habits have been slowly changing, it shouldn't be that big of a shock to your system, but it will still be hard. It will. Try getting creative. There are now many raw and whole food cookbooks that can keep you entertained. So, people are going to ask about Shakeology. Shakeology is allowed in this week. I actually talked to the creators of Shakeology because when this came out, I kind of had some questions about that. And they said that since none of the ingredients in Shakeology are processed in any way, they're simply dried, they're just heated, um, that they don't go through any sort of process that alters the way that they would digest or the way that they occur in nature, that it's considered whole foods. So if you are on Shakeology, that's fine. Uh, so that's whatever that is. As far as anybody who's on regular protein drinks, you would need to be drinking just like the unflavored whey with nothing in it but whey or nothing in it but pea protein, etc. Um, just to be super clear. Okay, and I realize that this is going to be a hard week for your ratios, but it will be amazing for your body, and you're going to learn a lot about what you can do. It's really cool. So, the weekly focus is that nuts and seeds make great snacks. A handful of raw almonds or cashews is a quick and easy snack that goes a long way. Don't be put off by the high fat count of nuts because this means it takes fewer of them to satiate you. Nuts and seeds are loaded with the important phytonutrients as well as good fats, protein, and fiber. So, I mean, I love cashews. I just can't even get over it how much I love cashews, which is ridiculous. Um, so if you guys are interested in any of the different nuts out there, I believe walnuts are the best nuts I have, and I think almonds come in second. I have like a little nut chart thing that I can post for you guys. It was on my fitness page a few weeks back. So, because this video is just getting longer and longer the longer I sit here, I'm going to jump into quickly letting you know what the contest is or what the prize is. So you guys know that I eat paleo. Now, I don't particularly promote it. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that never happened was I didn't want my fitness page to be a paleo page. I don't believe that everyone is ready to eat that way. I do believe that it is pricey because of the meats and the fact that every meat you buy needs to be, grass fed, organic. Like there are some paleo principles that I think can be difficult on a limited budget, and I also think that it can be a restrictive diet for people who aren't ready to make that kind of change. And I don't want to set people up for failure. So while I do prefer to eat that way, it's not something that I promote. However, in light of this particular week, um, being what it is, essentially paleo with a few little, you're allowed to eat peanuts. I wanted to provide you guys, the winner, a copy of the book that I read that made me go paleo that I love, that was actually written by my friend Adam. We weren't friends when he wrote the book, we're friends now. Who I love to pieces because it's not a cookbook. It's a why book. It's a book about like what does this do to your body and how. The most important thing I learned in the book was how the diet is meant for you, not for how I eat, not for how she eats, how he eats, how you eat, and how what if you can tolerate it, you have some cheese, you go right ahead, and then what's the best cheese to eat if you're going to, or if some people can eat a ton of red meat, some people cannot. Like, not to just take these diet rules like a Bible, but to listen to your body and know that you are the only one that understands what's going on inside of it. So I really enjoyed his book, and I want to give someone a copy of that. So it'll be that and a copy of the Well Fed Cookbook from Clothes That Make the Girl, which I love her pieces. So those are going to be the prizes this week. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. I know this one's going to be a bit of a shock for some of you, especially for those of you who just barely started cooking at home for the first time last week. Sorry. But you're going to feel incredible at the end of this week. My recommendation is not to take a cheat day from this because the mental clarity from this kind of diet is amazing. Energy, the sleep, everything, like even your own clock starts to get more natural of like where you are supposed to be. It's crazy. So I mean, my recommendation is not to take your cheat days, but there are two, so that you guys don't lose your mind. The 1 week where there's 2 cheat days. because I know it can be very difficult. So again, no processed foods of any kind, nothing in package at all if Mia makes it, you cannot have it this week. I'm excited to see how everyone does, and I'm looking forward to finishing up this challenge with you. We're almost done. That's so crazy. So have an awesome rest of your day.